One of the most important facets of any business is customer service. In business, you are not only selling a product or a service, but an experience. Providing exceptional customer service and developing real relationships with your clients means increased sales, retain customers, new customers via word of mouth, and a positive reputation. You're listening to the Focus on Customer Experience podcast. Benjamin Del Grosso gives you the ins and outs of one of the most underlooked aspects in business today. Improve your customer service and watch your business skyrocket. 2, 1. Now, here's your host, Benjamin Del Grosso.
Hello and welcome to the show. Today we have Sean Matson. So Sean, why don't you tell us, who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Hey, good morning. How are you? So my name's, again, Sean Matson. I grew up in Richmond, Virginia, and after graduating high school, went to Virginia Military Institute, just there out in Lexington, Virginia. Got my civil engineering degree there, and then joined the Navy, served 13 years as a SEAL officer in the teams. I got to do multiple deployments all over the world and do a lot of fun stuff. And then started my first business with my business partner while we were still active back in 2010.
Nice. So while you were in active military, you guys started a business. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we just we did it kind of as a side hustle. We saw this gap in a technology, I guess, if you want to say it, but it's a new cargo net system for the military and how they move gear. We actually saw this in 2006 while we were still training to become a SEAL. We were just at the kind of end of our pipeline for SEAL training, and we saw this gap, and we were like, man, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. We developed it, we patented it, and we were hoping to just sell that technology and, keep going with our career. But as things would happen, everybody kept telling us, like, go build it, go build it, go build it. And so finally, we started the company in 2010. We didn't actually build that first prototype and get it on the market until 2012 timeframe. And since then, we've brought almost 300 products to the market, everything from autofocus night vision goggle accessories to lightweight medical litters. We developed our own material that we're selling back to the government. So we have a wide range of products, but they're all cutting edge and stuff that we've either owned the IP or something that no one else is doing.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, realistically, you're like, if you work within a business, for instance, you were in the military, I always say your employees are typically going to see the weaknesses and challenges before anyone else because they're actively using it every single day. And I know I've worked at places where I'm going, like, why do we do it this way? This is crazy. Like, we're doing work like 4 times as much. Like, I was just at my friend's business, and he's telling me that he has this paperwork he has to do, like for bill of ladings. Mm-hmm. And then he has it done. It's all manual. On top of it, he takes it, and then they go and he has to scan it, every single one in manually. And I'm like, well, how much time do you take a month doing all this with all this manual work? And he goes, 20 plus hours a month. I'm like, holy smokes. Yeah. So I sent him these programs as low as $30 a month that are fully digital. You can sign off on the bill of lading. And because I said, dude, you got to automate. You got to use the technologies because you have no time to work on your business. Yeah. And you need this time to work on your business. And this was just me outside looking in. He goes, yeah, I know I need this. So, like, there's stuff for that. I'm like, yeah, there's always better solutions. But that was me outside looking in. Right. And you being in the military, you're going, like, seriously? we got to do this better, right? We got to do this better. And then you took action.
We actually tried to sell the technology to the company that makes the nets, and they were like, oh, it's not a problem. No one ever complains about it. It's like, you're not listening to the right people then, because anybody you ever ask if they're in the military and you're like, oh yeah, how do you like the cargo net systems? They'll tell you like these things are the worst things ever. They're so complicated, they're heavy, they're just bulky, and extremely confusing. And what's crazy is they've been around since World War II.
Oh, really?
So yeah, they still haven't changed. That's actually another kind of funny story, is that product, while it was our first product, it has also been our least revenue generating product we've ever sold. Like we've sold like maybe 2 of them in 12 years.
Of which one?
So
Of this net?
the cargo net. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's been, I wouldn't call it, it's not a failure by any means, because we've learned a lot in that process, but it definitely has not been the cash cow that we thought it was going to be. Like I said, we've only sold 2 of them in the whole 12 years that we've been around. So,
Well, but you ended up finding other pockets, I guess, probably as a result of some connections that were made as a result of pursuing that.
Well, so what that really taught us was the whole development cycle of, we had this idea, which no one else was making, and how to create a, not just a supply chain, but manufacturing and patents and just everything you need to do to get a product that no one else is making from inception to completion. And, we did that in about 3 years. Like I said, 2010. Well, actually, about 6 years, from 2006 to 2012. When we first had the initial idea was 2006, and we didn't get that on the market till 2012. But took quite a bit of time. But we were also active, and we were deploying a lot and traveling all over the world as SEALs. So both my partner and I really didn't have a lot of extra time to try to devote to this, but still, that 6 years was a lot of lessons learned and getting a product from inception to completion.
So you learned a lot about that process. Is that what kind of brought you on to developing like CardoMax? Was learning about that process?
Yeah,
about people's needs.
Yeah, very much so. So the most recent company that we started was CardoMax. We started it last year. And both my business partner and I work out. We like, working out. But we also like products in the direct to consumer space. We've had some experience in it, and everybody else in the supplement space is doing the exact same thing. They're tubs of powder, or they'll put powder into stick packs and stuff like that. And we created a process that allows us to take these ingredients and supplements and liquefy them, emulsify them into a liquid concentration, and put it into a stick pack. So you can travel it anywhere in the world. They're really easy. Initially it was, get these to the military, and we still are. We're, trying to work some of those government contracts and stuff like that to get them into the military. But you can ship these anywhere in the world for cents on a dollar, because they're extremely lightweight. They're individually packed. They basically lay flat in a box, so you're not shipping a lot of weight. But you got 2 weeks worth of product in that little package. And then as people are on the go, they just grab a stick, dump it in a bottle of water or carbonated water or whatever you want to drink that day. And we've got an energy, which is our pre-workout, an immune booster. We've got a hydration, and we got a recovery. And right now the energy and hydration are our 2 strongest categories. And I think that the biggest, the hydration one is just getting really started, but I think that's going to be a really strong one for us, because we don't use sugars as the vehicle to get that electrolytes into your body. It's more from that process, because it's already broken down. So once you consume it into your body, it's literally like an IV level hydration system, where it's going straight into your system. Your body's not trying to process all these little granulars and electrolytes and get them into your bloodstream. It's already liquefied.
Yeah, that's cool. And the other thing you were telling me is it's not one of those products where it turns it all blue, the water, and turns it all
Yeah.
orange, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's clear. So it literally looks like you're drinking a bottle of water.
Yeah. And so all of the products, none of them have any dyes or colors in them. So they're their natural color that they would be, there's no artificial coloring or anything like that. I mean, we have a grape energy, right? You don't need to be, your lips turn purple to tell you that you're drinking a grape drink. It's like it can be clear. It's like it's all on flavor. So
Yeah.
and,
No,
and performance. I mean, you got to have performance too. I mean, it's not just a flavor.
yeah, no, it's just an interesting idea because honestly, for such a long time, I used to be hardcore in getting those little Mio squirting things and all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff, but then I always found that I kind of got a headache or something was off because they use like they have so much of these sugars and all that in there. And I don't know what it is. It just doesn't sit well with me. So
No, they have a lot of artificial dyes in them, and some countries are starting to pick up on it. That they're starting to ban those dyes. Because it's not necessary. Your body doesn't need. You don't need it to be purple to tell you you're drinking. A grape flavored drink. So it's just for a look thing.
yeah, which totally makes sense.
So
So let's ask a couple of these questions here. What was your most memorable experience as a customer?
so as a customer, I would say it's more a trait than one specific example for me. Is when a company, without really me asking, um, they just do the right thing. And an example of that would be, um, bought something over Christmas, emailed the company saying, "Hey, got it, but you actually shipped me the wrong one. I like this one, but the one I wanted was this one." And an example would be, they say, "Hey, just keep that one. Sorry, we'll send you the right one." It's like I didn't expect that. I wasn't asking for them to give me that for free. I was just kind of like, "Hey, what do we need to do? Can you send me back a shipping label for this? And or whatever." But they just immediately, "Hey, just keep it. Enjoy that one, and then here's the one that you actually ordered." And you can't do that in every situation, but the companies that do that and really just go that extra mile and show that customer they listened, right? Like they heard that me say like, "Hey, okay, I did like this, and we kind of made a mistake," but they're hoping, I think on the backside of it, the psychology of it, them as the company are hoping that now they've got an advocate talking about both of these products instead of one of the products.
Yeah, and I mean, like customer service is a big thing. It's hard to get that nowadays. And so actually over Christmas, I ordered I ordered some gifts for the kids that was supposed to be here in time for Christmas. And it's these they're like these little balls that have like little fans in them and they spin around and fly in the
Yeah.
air. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like we had
Yeah.
one, but we kind of have like a big lot here and the trees kind
Yeah.
of took the last ball due to me.
Yeah.
But so I was trying to get the kids some replacements. So it says that, I'm ordering it from the United States and, it'll be here in time. I paid for express shipping. And in turn, what ends up happening is it didn't show up in Christmas. And then it wasn't coming from the States. It was coming from China all of a sudden now. On top of it, we got it. One of the boxes was crushed. It wasn't the brand that it says it was when they were selling it online. Third, within 24 hours, both of them were broken. So one was broken out of the box. The second one was broken within 24 hours. It was not the same quality as the last one we had. When I contacted their customer service to say, "Hey, like these are broken. Like they're not even working. They're not even the same quality." And basically he said, "You can ship it back." And I'm thinking, ship it back? I paid $70 for these things. They don't even work within 24 hours. And it was a week later that they responded to me saying, "You could ship it back. We'll send you the address here soon." It was like 3 days later, they sent me the address. I go, "I'm not shipping it back to China. I'm just going to throw these things out." I'm going to take this as a learning lesson of why you don't buy from a reputable company. And $70 blown for not even 24 hours of enjoyment, which is really sad, because the last one we had for weeks on end, and it was great quality. But I mean, that company didn't do the right thing. But I've also had completely opposite experience, right? Where, like yourself, where somebody made a mistake and they've either sent me a return label so I can ship it back, and they've sent me a replacement, and that's just because they're listening. And you got to listen to your customers, not just like, no, you ordered this, or don't respond at all. That's the other big mistake that ends up happening, right?
Well, I think that's honestly, that's the biggest change in really what you see with customers today on the internet, right? Like, me as a consumer, again, I've done this. I bought a chair for my wife for, I think, Mother's Day. It was last year or the year before. Really nice rocking chair. We go to sporting events. We have kids and stuff like that. So going to sporting events and all the other, I saw this. I was like, man, this is a really nice rocking chair. And went to it, clicked on it, and I was like, oh, she'll like this. It's got like a sun canopy thing on it. I was like, okay, great. So I ordered it. And then what showed up was this like tiny bag chair that was like this big, that had like little tripod seat. And coincidentally enough, I have one of those chairs already from my time in the military, but it's like a $20 chair, and what I bought was like $110 chair or whatever it was. I don't remember how much I spent, but definitely a lot more. And same thing, I emailed the company back, and they're like, oh, you could ship it back. And I'm like, it's going to be more to ship it back than what I paid for the chair. Like, I'm not shipping it back. Like, I just want the chair. Sent pictures, and of the product that I ordered, the everything. And, they got back to me and they're like, basically just, sorry. That's the chair that we shipped you, and there's nothing they're going to do about it. They didn't offer to do a refund. They didn't offer to do anything. So I just kept that cheap chair that was way overpriced, and, same thing, just lesson learned on that. It's like, golly, like, it's such a frustrating thing, but that you see it all the time on the internet, all the different ads and companies, and not to say that, I click on every ad that's out there, but I mean, it seemed like a reputable company. It said the same, thing, buying from the USA. And, clearly when I got the shipping notification and see that it's coming from wherever, China, and it's like, well, you're not shipping, it's like, why, how can you be so deceiving and dishonest and then, just dirty that way?
Yeah, it's weird. And I mean, I look at things like when I first started the business, and I keep looking at how I gave off my brand at the beginning. And, people, I was like, man, why is no one really ordering from me? Like, what am I doing wrong? And it's like, oh, well, your return policy is not really clear on the website. Okay, well, I need to fix that, and then it was, well, okay, well, that's on there. So why are people not buying online? Because I mean, most of the stuff I do is typically local, but like, what do I need to do to grow online sales? So then I start looking at, maybe I wasn't clear on shipping. So as soon as I made it clear on the website, free shipping after this, shipping is on average, 1 to 5 days, depending where you're located in the United States or Canada. And I started adding, big pictures and stuff that was very easy. All of a sudden you start seeing sales increase, and letting people know where it's shipping from, and I'm being transparent. I mean, a few people took a risk with me.
Right.
I mean, I had a few hiccups early on where I shipped Canada Post, which is similar to your USPS in the States. And I had like times where it took like 3 weeks. It's like, why did it take 3 weeks? I paid for express shipping. It should have been there in like 4 days. So then I started, all part of the growing process of, I want to continue growing the customer experience. So now I use like UPS, FedEx, DHL when I ship to the States. It costs a few bucks more, but now it usually gets there in 3 to 5 days. Yep. And it's a lot less headache. And sometimes with DHL, I have 1 day overnight delivery, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, the that experience is definitely and that also brings why people want to come back to, and or talk about you, right? Like they've had that good experience, they've had that thing. I know, we we have a lot of that same, pay free shipping over this, bars and stuff like that on our website to kind of show through. But also, when we're doing ads, we really focus on directed landing pages. We use ClickFunnels, but because you're typically, when you're getting an ad out there, you're doing something for a cold traffic, someone who's never doesn't know you, doesn't know your product. And so we have these detailed landing pages, and to give them that experience and kind of tell the whole brand story in a few pictures and a few things. And so they can't get lost on our website of like, well, what's this and what's that? And so it's a directed offer. They know exactly, they saw a picture of our hydration product, and then, the copy and everything like that in the ad is talking about hydration. And so when they click on that, they're going straight to a hydration landing page. They're not going to our homepage and then like, well, what do I do now? It's that customer journey for them. They saw a picture of raspberry hydration. I want to give them raspberry hydration. If they saw a picture of grape, I want to show them grape. They'll have options to later on, but like the first thing they should see is what they just saw. And so it just kind of all stays in sync, because that's how your brain works. It's kind of like, I saw that, oh yeah, I like that, I need to try that. And then if you all of a sudden see a whole different product, or you just get pushed onto your homepage, it's like, well, there's too many exit points, and they can get confused really quickly.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree, because I learned a lot about websites over the last couple of years. But I just wanted to point something out that I noticed when I was on your website, is you also have that sample trial that you kind of offer for a good rate, so that if somebody doesn't want to go and buy I think it's a 25 pack or whatever that you guys sell it in, or is it a 15 pack? Either way,
it's 15.
Yeah. And then you guys can buy just two, one of each of the two tastes, right, or whatever, and then they can try it and say, okay, I like this, I want to fully commit, or hey, you know what, it's not for me. But at the same time, you're giving them that chance to try it, right? Which I think is awesome. And that's another thing I've taken kind of on my website recently, is it's like, man, like I sell good dash cams. They're not garbage. So why is it that some people are hesitant on buying these? So I can't really do a sample, but what I have now started doing is I took every single dash cam, like the top 8 now. I've put all of them inside my vehicle. I've created video footage comparing all of them on the same level playing field, recording all at the same time. And now I have those videos playing underneath the products. So now I'm watching over the last couple, because I only did this over the last couple of weeks, thinking like, that's my sample. I need to show them how this thing performs. Right. And so now I have people like going, like, I really want this unit in my vehicle. When before it was kind of like, is it good? Yeah, it's good. And people are buying me, and they see that I have high Google reviews, so they're trusting me. But at the same time, now I can prove to them, look, this is how it compares to another product that sells for $50 more. It may have this and that less for features, but it's overall going to give you the same experience and perform the same way. When people can start seeing, oh wow, like it performs almost as good as that one, or it performs just as good as that one, but it has less features, like, why would I not get that one? I just wanted to record.
Yeah. So, and like, even with the samples and other stuff like that, we offer 100% money back guarantee, for people as well. And I mean, we can do this with our product. I mean, you wouldn't be able to do it with yours, but, we just say, hey, listen, you don't have to ship it back. I mean, if someone orders, $1,000 worth, $300 worth of product, and then goes, I don't like any of it. Okay, we'll probably send them a shipping label to get it back. But if they order one or two, 15 count bags and then they're like, hey, I didn't like either of them, then, we just say, hey, keep it. We'll refund your money. And then sometimes we'll even offer them, if there's a good conversation and things like that, we'll even offer them like, hey, why don't we try a different product for you and see, and we'll send them a sample pack of that on us for free. So, because ultimately it's the most expensive part is to acquire that customer, but once you have a customer and they keep coming back to buy from you, then, that cost that you put into them, it goes to nothing. It literally, because you're not having to, as long as they like the product, they like the service, they like everything, they're going to keep coming back. And then they're also going to be an ambassador for you for free, basically, to talk about your product and how much they love it. And it just helps that whole, that whole chain effect happen. And, I know, kind of in that, for us, like our big, we're really heavy in the customer experience and things. And I'd say like the one thing that I think we've done really well to provide that positive experience with our customers is the ability for us to connect with them both on a personal level, through, we have a workout app that we offer our customers and stuff like that. When they sign up and they start ordering some of our product that they can do. And so we can message in there. We have Facebook groups, obviously. But also just, when kind of going back to some of the other things we were talking about earlier, just that if there is a bad experience, for example, we launched the hydration product and, we had, it wasn't to our standard that we wanted. There was a little bit of crystallization that was happening in the packet after it sat for a long time. And so we sent everybody a letter with that product and a $10 gift card and just said, hey, listen, this is not to our standard and we're sorry. We're working to fix this. But you'll notice as these sit for couple weeks or whatever, you're going to start to see some of the packets will have some settling on it. And they didn't know. But when they got their order, they had this and this, just identifying that there was a problem, right? Not just trying to ignore it, but we identified the problem and we showed them how we're going to solve it before they even knew that there was a problem. And I think that's, again, just like a positive experience that we're trying to do here at CardoMax, and my other companies too, is as soon as we know that there's a potential issue or something like that, and hopefully a customer hasn't even told us about it, we get out in front of it and immediately just, hey, own it, share what's going on with things, and then show them, hey, we're working to fix this, right? So I think that's critical when you're talking about the customer experience and service that you try to provide. Is if there's always going to be something, and it's identifying it and getting out in front of it and then owning it and then showing them that there's a roadmap to how you're going to fix it and kind of a timeline in that, and then holding yourself and your team accountable to get that resolved.
Oh yeah, we had we had all sorts of things over the years. So I used to be involved with remote car starters. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know what that is, but basically,
yep.
You get a remote, you can push start, it'll start your vehicle, it'll lock and unlock your doors.
I love those things.
And there was a bunch of random things where, because I would manage a shop where we'd have 7-8 guys installing, we'd have 20 plus vehicles a day. We would go, man, like, there's something wrong here. Like, there should be a recall issue. There's something wrong. It's not adding up. People are coming back. We're literally taking a brain, swapping a brain, and then you drive it out in the parking lot, and 10 minutes later, it doesn't work again. And we're going, like, there's something wrong here. Like, the technicians aren't doing anything wrong. And no, there's nothing wrong with the product. And we're trying to tell the company, you need to issue a recall. No.
Right.
Because you issue a recall, you're now causing panic, right?
Right. Yep. But I think that's what you have to do, though. I mean, like, if you tailor the message and you talk about what it is and what's going on, you can prevent that mass chaos. But if you just, like, if you just say issue a recall and never say, hey, here's what we're doing to fix it. Here's all this stuff. Cause that's typically what these auto companies do is they'll issue a recall and say, hey, these are the cars that are involved in the recall, but never tell you like what they're going to do to move forward with that or that issue, or how they potentially, want to prevent that from happening again. They issue the recall and then they just leave it like that. Like, oh, well, too bad, and it's just such in my opinion, that's why you get that, mass hysteria. It's like, wait, a safety recall. And then they, now it's like, well, do I need to get rid of this car? Like, like I don't want there to be issue with the safety of the vehicle that I'm driving my kids and my family in.
Yeah, my vehicle, here's a great example. So my vehicle, my Kia Soul, I got an electric vehicle, and they sent me this thing in the mail, I want to say a year and a half, 2 years ago, saying your vehicle has a recall for the braking system. And I'm like, the braking system, right? We'll contact
kind of an
you.
Important part.
Yeah, we'll contact
kind of an important
you
piece of,
your vehicle has to come in for an inspection to verify whether, it needs this recall or whatever, right? And like in my head, I'm going, okay, the braking system. So is there something wrong with the brakes? Is my vehicle not going to stop? Like, it was so vague. And in my head, I'm going, like, should I even continue driving this vehicle? Like,
do I need to drill a hole in the floor and try to be like Fred Flintstone or something? I mean, like, come on. Like,
so, I ended up going to the dealership, I think a couple weeks later. They do this inspection and they go, yeah, everything checked out okay. Your vehicle ended up not being one of the ones needed. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but like, what's the recall? And it sounded like the dealership wasn't even 100% aware of what the actual recall was, other than, like they didn't want to tell me like the brakes aren't working, or the brakes are dying quicker than they should be, or whatever it is. I don't know, right? But it's scary, and I've seen a lot of weird recalls over the years. I mean, the Ford Focus back in the day was the number one most recalled vehicle of all time. It had everything, and then it had made in Mexico, it was made in Canada, made in the States, it was made everywhere. And I know from working on those vehicles, it'd be like, why are all the colors different? Oh, in Mexico, when they run out of the spools of wire, they just grab whatever wires are left there. And I'm like, okay, so green's not ignition anymore? No, it's pink. It's pink on the ones that are made in Mexico. All of a sudden, on ones dated this year, manufactured. Like, oh my God. Like, can you imagine somebody who doesn't know how to read a diagram just goes, oh, well, there's the green wire, strip, and it ends up being, constant power. Now you have something that has constant power hooked up to it that should have been ignition. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, that would definitely be weird.
But yeah, anyways, is there a book you've read that has influenced your life?
Yeah, I would say there's been, well, I try to read. I do audibles. I grew up with dyslexia. I have a hard time focusing on sitting down reading, but I usually do a lot better with audibles. So I would say there's been two that I continue to recommend, and I just like, that Traction by Gino Wickman, and Inner Voice by Russ Whitney. Traction's a really good one for business and just customer experience. But just, obviously it talks about traction, how you get it, and how you also maintain that traction, right? Because that's the one thing. It's like, I've got traction, and then all of a sudden, like, you start growing, you start doing ads, and you're like, these ads are working well. And then you're like, we need to do something different. We got to, keep growing. It's like, well, but why? These ads are working, right? Like I have these conversations with my marketing guys and stuff like that, at that, a quick example, last year, right at the end of the year, they're like, hey, we've got to think of the next big thing for our ads. And I'm like, why? our ads are converting at 38-40% cold traffic. Like when I get someone to my landing page, I'm converting at, I'm almost 40%. I was like, we don't need to do anything. We just need to keep adding more money to those ads and audiences and stuff like that. Because once I get them to the landing page, they're going to convert. Like, I don't need to come up and develop this whole new, like, what's the new big idea? The big idea is more money to those ads, you know? And they're like, oh yeah, you're right. I was like, all right. So just like, because they don't feel like they're doing anything, kind of, you know, it's like, well, I'm doing the same thing, but it's like, it's working, right? Like, there are some things we're, you know, adjusting and doing, but so traction is good on the business front. So once you start getting traction, how you maintain that traction, and also in the beginning talks about how do you start getting some of that traction. And then Inner Voice with Russ Whitney. I love that book because it really helped make me rethink about how I listen to my inner voice. And I had some really cool experiences through the years, but you know, really in reading it, you know, had this, the one that I think is probably the coolest, because it was right around I think it was Thanksgiving or Christmas. I don't remember which holiday it was. I know it was one of the two. But I was buying like $50 or $100 Visa gift cards for all my employees. Just as a, hey, you know, thanks, you know, hope this helped for, you know, Christmas and like I said, Thanksgiving or whatever it was. And for whatever reason, in my head, it was like, buy 2 extra. And I was like, all right, so it's just like, maybe I miscounted or whatever. And I was like, all right, so I bought 2 extra. And I got the 2, and then I'm leaving the parking lot, and typically I would have taken the north entrance, but I was like, I just take the east entrance. So exit. So I went out this way. And as I'm pulling out this way, there's a homeless guy sitting there. And I walked over to him and I handed him the gift card. And I was like, hey man, hope this helps this season and stuff like that. And drove off, and then like kept driving to work. And because I took this one, there's multiple routes that I can go to our office. So I took this other route, and sure enough, about halfway to the office, there's another guy. And I'm like, hey man, here's the gift card. Hope this helps. And then drove on to work. Didn't see anyone else the whole time. And I never see them going to work. Like, we don't typically have homeless people on our streets and you know, on my route to work. I mean, very rarely will you ever see one. I mean, maybe once or twice a year do I see someone out there. But then in this one time, in this one route, I saw 2 on the same day within 20 minutes of each other. And I was just like, okay, you know, but that little thing, that was just that if I wouldn't have listened to that inner voice, like, or, you know, like all those things that all just came into place. It was like, it was all because I just was like, I acted on that inner voice that hit me. So,
and some people always say everything happens for a reason, right?
I totally believe that. Yep.
It was kind of one of those things where, yeah, I guess I'll buy these gift cards, and then I don't know why I'm buying them, but I'll buy them. And it's like, hey, look, I found use for them. You know, like, you know, I made someone else's day better. So
yeah, it was crazy. So
yeah,
but those 2 books, I would say, you know, like I said, business front, but then also kind of personal development on the inner voice one, I think is good. I don't know if you've ever read either of those, but
I actually haven't. I've read a lot of books. A lot of them I always kind of focus on management, but then I don't know. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I haven't read either one of those, but yeah, it's interesting doing these podcasts, hearing a lot of the different books that people read. Some of them I've read, some of them I haven't at all. And some of them, you know, are very popular. You've heard lots of people read them. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I just know I have 5 or 6 books here I got to start reading. Maybe I should just do Audible like you. So I do a lot of driving. And when I'm driving, I'm usually listening to all sorts of podcasts and listening to what's going on in the world. So
yeah, I do that as well. I try to mix it in and out, because I don't know, sometimes sometimes you start listening to the news and I mean, if you listen to the news for an hour, you basically got the day's news, and because the next episode or the next, session, they're going to talk about the same thing. And it's like, oh, it's all still breaking news. It's like, I just heard this whole kind of segment, and they come at it from different angles. I'm like, I don't need that level of analysis. That's the one thing, I would say, I guess, I know we talked about the one thing, get rid of 24-hour news. It's the worst thing. It's the worst thing ever. Like, because it's just the same news over and over and over again, coming at it from different angles, analyzed, to overanalyzed, I would say. And I think it creates such anxiety for people, that it's not necessary. I know, for me, and, I try to instill this in my kids and my family and everything. And my wife believes the same stuff. I watch, I watch a little bit of everything. I listen to a little bit of everything, and I try to understand where they're coming at it from their perspective. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to necessarily believe it, but I try to listen, and I just try to educate myself. I'm actually listening to a book right now that's a huge smear campaign on Navy SEALs, and everybody that I've talked to about it. But are they true events? I think so. They're all bad events that have happened. I mean, we're not a perfect organization. No organization is perfect. And so this book is highlighting all those negative events that have happened since World War II, basically. And painting this picture of, well, this is the culture and they're all bad. It's like, well, I mean, have those events happened? Yes. I mean, have we had bad actors? Yes. Have there been experiences and situations that have happened that have embarrassed the SEAL teams? Yes. I mean, again, to think that you live in this utopia world and everybody's perfect, I mean, you're an idiot. Like, there's no such thing. And it's like, it doesn't matter who they are or what they are. At the end of the day, they're a human and they're going to make mistakes. And it's like, give some people some grace, like, try to understand what happened in that situation, not justifying why they did it, but understand maybe a little bit of context to what happened, right? Like, some of these situations are extremely high stress. And again, that can't just be the only reason that it happened, right? There could have been some fault in training. There could have been some other things that happened. The guy didn't see something, whatever it is. I mean, there's a million things that potentially could have gone wrong. Again, it's not to say that you diminish what happened. I mean, if he broke the law or did something wrong, he needs to be punished, or the situation needs to be, people need to be held accountable for it, right? But it's not like that one thing, or even a series of bad things, is why the SEAL teams are horrible and no one should ever be SEALs again. It's the same thing on the other side, right? It's like all the good books that are out there. It's like, oh, well, SEALs are gods. It's like, no, they're not. I mean, they're people. They make mistakes. There needs to be, I think, on both sides, there needs to be just grace and just understanding that it's not that way. And same thing with news and everything else that is out there. It's just there's more of a middle story than than people want to believe sometimes. And it's like,
yeah, well,
no, it's not.
But the only thing that really sells news, and this is the problem, right? I mean, when we're talking, what would you change in the entire world today is kind of what we're talking about right now. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about basically kind of cancel culture, because you're talking like they're going back to World War II, talking about all the negatives and everything they've done wrong. And everybody's in this weird, well, not everybody, a big percentage of the population is in this like weird thing where they're judging you on something you did 20 or 30 years ago, or 50 years ago. and I don't know, like even up here in Canada, it's like we're saying sorry for something that happened 150 or 200 years ago or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going, okay, like I don't understand. Like, am I supposed to?
I, I didn't have a part in that.
It's weird, right? It's just weird because all these things, instead of just, I mean, every company is not perfect, but I don't understand this whole cancel culture pursuit of like basically, like you're saying, talking about the Navy SEALs do all this, and this bad. But guess what? Every company you go to, like for even myself as a business, I'm gonna, occasionally give somebody a bad customer experience, and occasionally something's not going to go 100% to plan, and I might break a panel, or something might happen, or I might have forgotten to tell a customer something. And it happens. I try and do my best to be consistent, but I mean, I don't need to be canceled because I gave somebody one bad customer experience, right?
Yep, exactly.
But that's the thing, right? You're talking about, we're using the example of military here, right? Or example of the news. The news, tries to make everything so what word is intensified on what's going on in the world, right? So instead of just saying, can you believe that this and that happened, they've done all this good, which is amazing, and all this stuff good, but they got this wrong, but instead it turns into, can you believe they've done this wrong, and in 2010 they did this wrong, in 2000, and then it just turns into the smear campaign, right?
Yep.
Which is terrible.
Yep, very much so.
Do you have any final words or anything, or?
I mean, no, I mean, I think we covered a lot, different things, different, pieces of it. Ultimately, like, I said, I think for us, the way I boil it down, to kind of go back to the main topic of customer experience and the customer support stuff, for me and how I position it with my team is, I want you to flip the roles and pretend you were in that position, right? So you are now the customer. How would you want to be treated, right? And then I want you to do that. And if you do that, I'll be happy, right? If you think the right thing to do was to give them free product and refund them, and I'm not going to be upset, right? I want you to tell me why you felt that way, right? But I'm not going to be upset in that, like, because I trust you, right? Like, you're the person doing the customer support and things like that. So I want you to treat people the way they want to be treated, and then be able to then articulate why you did something the way you did it, right? And I have no problem with someone doing that. I might correct them for the next one if they did something wrong, I guess. But I'm not going to scold them because they did something that they felt was the right thing to do. Maybe it's a teachable moment in that, where it's like, hey, I understand what you did, and I appreciate that, and we're going to leave that the way it is. But I think next time, maybe it might be better to do X, Y, and Z, and here's why we should do X, Y. Not just because, hey, I'm Sean Matson, I'm the owner, this is why you need to do it, but give them an example of why you think they should do it that way.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in empowering your people, and you have to empower your people to make decisions, and they're going to make mistakes. Yep. But at the end of the day, using it as a teachable moment is key, because that's how they learn, and that's how you grow as a team. So let's look at, you gave that person for something for free, and that's great. I'm glad that you felt that way. I'm glad you felt that. Now let's look at why this wasn't a good idea in this instance. And then you start looking back. This person's done this 3 times already, where they're taking advantage of us. So it doesn't make sense to continuously do that, because, you can't have a sustainable business if somebody keeps doing this. Obviously, this customer isn't meant to be. Or, hey, this customer's ordered 8 things from us in the past, never had an issue, is very happy, even given us a positive review online. Yes, this is definitely, like, we need to make sure to take care of this. I'm glad you made this decision. That was awesome. Right. So,
yep.
I think that's wicked.
100%. 100%.
No, thanks for coming on today. That was wicked. And
Yeah, appreciate
you had
it.
some interesting
Thanks.
products.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, we're excited. I mean, it's been a fun journey. We hit 8 figures last year for the first year, so we're and we did it pretty. I wouldn't say easily, but we got into it. So like the year before, we were like right at 8 figures, and it was like, oh man, can we sell some more stuff to hopefully get? So that was 2020. But then last year we got into 8 figures, and yeah, I'm really excited to see where the growth is. We made the Inc. 5000 list last year, and already like basically what we had done in 2020, we did in the first 4 months of 2021. So it's exciting to see where we're going to be going here in the future. So
Great accomplishment. It's awesome.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
So thanks a lot for coming on, and hopefully we'll connect
thank you
soon.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Focus on Customer Experience podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. For more information or to connect with Ben, check out Benjamin Del Grosso on LinkedIn, at Safe Drive Solutions on Instagram, or www.safedrivesolutions.ca online. We'll see you next time.